This shop's one of a kind. We never know what might turn up. Some days, it could be a grand old classic. Other days, maybe a muscle car, even a military vehicle. Some jobs are quick fixes. Others are full-blown restorations. And on occasion, million-dollar recreations. My only rule, perfection. And that's the kind of thing that we do at the Guild Garage.
So it looks like Dave, who gets bored very easily, has moved on to a new project. He wants to make a belly tank car.
Thomas, can you pop in for a sec?
What are you up to now?
Well, you know, I was played hooky for a while yesterday. I went over to the Warplane Heritage Museum because I've got a couple of things.
Dave wants to make one of these belly tank racer things. It's just not gonna happen.
And I've been agonizing because, you know, it's quite narrow. We're gonna have to build an engine compartment in this thing,
This
or
sounds
less.
a lot more than you fiddling around with an idea. This sounds like you've made a decision.
Well, no.
Sometimes Dave forgets that this is a business, and we can't make a toy like that. It's expensive. So, no, he's not allowed to do it.
You know, quite a few years ago, somebody approached me and they had a drop tank off of a Second World War American fighter. And I'd always wanted one, but to turn it into what they call a belly tank Lakester. Hot rodders in the late 40s and early 50s would take the drop tanks off airplanes and put a Ford flathead V8 in them and wheels and the whole bit. And they would go for speed records at Bonneville with them. Bonneville salt flats in Utah are just dead flat. So you can get in a car and you can make it go as fast as you possibly can.
I'm really excited that Dave's gonna build this drop tank, because then I get to trailer it out to Bonnyville and have some fun with it.
Salt flat racer out of a drop tank? Oh, Dave's got a bad idea. I'm in.
Cool, I want to see it. Want to ride in it.
Not a chance in hell you'll see me get into it, but it should be interesting.
And maybe some bosses do have too much time in their hands.
I'm 100% sure that if he starts looking at doing this, he's going to do it. So here we go again.
We have a 1939 Buick that came in, and the client actually had to come a great distance, like 6-7 hours that he drove this car. We see cars come in all sorts of different shapes and conditions, but I have to say, I'm actually very impressed that this car made its journey to the shop without a fail. 1939 Buick was really one of the Art Deco masterpieces of GM. They used some of the nicest trim that they could put onto a vehicle, but still keep the price point low. So your elegant front grille, the beautiful Art Deco style fenders, and it's made it so popular that even today, people will use that body style for their custom hot rods.
Car was brought in to get the floors done in it, basically, but the floors are totally gone in the front.
We've had the interior removed from the car, started to remove the sections of the floor.
Most times you end up cutting more out than you wanted to, but when there's nothing to weld to or nothing really solid, you gotta go until you find something solid.
But as we do that, we find more and more holes, more and more problems. And there's several issues in the floor that would keep it unsafe, from carbon monoxide getting inside the car.
The transmission tunnel is gone and the parts don't exist.
Getting parts for this car is almost impossible. Nobody makes them. So we've had to make our own. Kind of a challenge has been because it's not something you do every day. Now you gotta figure out this mess because you got an angle on the floor here that you gotta match.
That is gonna be the tricky one.
There are some complex curves. When you start bending things in multiple directions, it can be very difficult. We don't necessarily have the tools in the body shop for doing such things, but Al does.
So I went over to see Al and he helped me out with bending the curve in it a bit for the tunnel.
So we'll probably have to cut here and cut here.
He's got more tools. He's got some ideas. It's always good to share.
When you start with a flat sheet of metal and you turn it into a three-dimensional part, you kind of have to take a step back and take a look at it and think about what the metal's doing, where you need to stretch it out without getting too thin or breaking it.
If we bend this up, this is gonna have to do some weird stuff.
I'm old school, so me, I just hammer things over a vise or a piece of pipe. He's got nylon hammers and different kinds of things. And some of them he actually made himself. I don't have those kind of hammers. You know, I have a sledgehammer, I have body hammers, but I don't have all these neat little tools.
We're at the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum near Hamilton, Ontario. This is research. I want to take a look at the kind of drop tanks they have on the various aircraft, because I'm not that familiar with post-war drop tanks. Drop tanks weren't just used during the Second World War. They still use drop tanks on high-performance fighter aircraft, or did until fairly recently, and there's got to be lots of those around still. I thought I'd drop by because I wanted to actually chat with you guys. So I've run into Jim Van Dyke here, and Jim is in charge of the program that maintains the flying aircraft for this museum. He's taking me to some of the airframes that have what I'm looking for.
So the first plane we went to was the F-86 Sabre, which has a fuel tank underneath the wing. It's a fairly flat shape, long with a couple of fins on the back.
And this is a beautiful shape. It's prettier than the World War II tank. It's far more aerodynamic, that's for sure.
The F-86 Sabre was a post-war design, early jet as we see it, used in between now and Second World War quite extensively by the US, but in Canada as well.
These are one of my favorite airplanes. I mean, I grew up as a kid watching these at air shows. They were a Korean War fighter, and they were one of the first truly great jet fighters. It's got a pair of really interesting drop tanks that are hanging underneath the wings. Unusual shape because they're sort of flat on the top and they sort of lift up at the front. So intriguing, not perfect for what I have in mind. So I noticed this old CF-100 here. It's got some beautiful tanks on it,
Absolutely.
but they're tip tanks. So that's not something that comes off the airplane.
No, this is something that they would have taken with them. Of course, they needed external fuel. They couldn't put it in the wings of the fuselage, so they managed to put it out at the wingtip.
This shape, or something very similar to this, would be perfect.
Yeah, beautiful shape, symmetrical, riveted, not welded yet, but still a very clean shape, big. You could even tip it up.
Yeah, this would be the top of it.
Have the top of it and work around the welded seam there. Yeah, a little more room for a person and an engine.
Well, that's
something
true,
like
too.
this, possibly.
Yeah. If your back is here, then your legs are, it's going to get a little cramped, but there's room for pedals and everything, and the cross shaft and that up here.
Right. You'd have a really nice design to start with, absolutely. So.
Unfortunately, they're stuck on the airplane. They don't fall off. But they're an ideal shape and amazing size. I mean, to build one of these into a car, it's going to be a big car, but there's going to be lots of room for everything you want to do.
The floor was just basically in with screw nails. There was no strength or integrity in the floor at all.
Wow. There's so much controversy that's surrounding this car.
Bart and Paul are remaking the cover for the transmission tunnel on the Buick, and so they came over and we sort of took a look at it and figured out what the steps are to start with a flat sheet of material and then be able to make it go three-dimensional in the right way. Working with these guys is a lot of fun. Everybody's got a different background, and everybody's got a lot of experience in all kinds of different stuff.
Like, see how you're flat here? We just kind of bring it straight across.
Totally.
He's kind of teaching us, we're kind of teaching him some things, and we're all working together to accomplish our task here. Even after 30-plus years, I'm still learning stuff. Let's see how it works, eh?
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's workable.
Cool. Glad I could help.
This restoration is far from a full restoration. We're just addressing some safety issues.
When the car first came in, the floor was just basically in with screw nails. There was no strength or integrity in the floor at all. It'll be a lot sounder, shouldn't be any fumes or anything like that coming through. Just a lot stronger car.
I've got a Camaro here that came in, and its reputation is that it's fake. The trouble is, I started looking at it and I went, well, it's really, really nice. Why would you spend that much money building a fake? And nothing wrong with a fake if you buy it for fake money. But when you buy a fake car for real money, that's a problem.
Ooh, pretty.
There's so much controversy that's surrounding this car. I can't really see why, because it's like one of the most perfect restorations I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful car. I mean, you can eat off the floors inside and out.
correct everything, markings, hose clamps, right down to the wiring harness, and it's a beautiful restoration.
There's a couple of different ways that we go about investigating a vehicle like this. The first one is hands-on. It's actually taking a look at the numbers.
I'm going to be checking for the vehicle identification number. I'm going to be looking at the trim tag. I'm going to be checking the front number on the block and the rear number on the block. They tell a big story on this car. They'll tell us what the heads are, what the car is, what the block is, and where it was manufactured, and give us a date as well.
Got the right block number on it.
Some of these numbers are a little bit hard to get at, but you can get at them if you have the right equipment. Sometimes you need mirrors. I use my camera.
I'm seeing what I like. There's a bit of corrosion to suggest that it's been on there since 1968. Doesn't look like it's been welded or...
Oh, no.
The casting numbers appear to be correct. Once that's done, we can actually take a look online. We can see what those numbers decode as and whether or not those numbers actually match the year, make, and model of the car, as well as the manufacturing date. If everything's in line, it means it's a numbers matching car. If there's anything that's out of place, it means either that part was replaced or it means that that part was purposely made to look as though it was an original part.
You know, if this 396 Camaro turns out to be a clone car, it's worth $50,000, $60,000. I mean, it is a spectacularly nice car. But if it's the real thing, $120,000, $130,000, maybe even $140,000. That's a huge difference.
Something very different.
And I mean, you can make it look like something out of Buck Rogers.
We're taking the Land Rover home.
No.
We're gonna go off-roading this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
No. I'm a Canadian Warplane Heritage, and Jim Van Dyke, who is their chief engineer, has been incredibly helpful, sort of taking me from drop tank to drop tank.
So another idea that I had for Dave was we have CF5 in the collection as well, and it's a little later airplane designed with 3 tanks underneath it, 1 under the fuselage, 2 under the wings. Beautiful, long, thin shapes.
If I can get 3 of these from salvage or government surplus or from a chap I know who's got a pile, these have an amazing shape, and I can sort of see that I can play with the initial concept is the same, but I can play with a brand new, fresh design. And that's where I started to think, I'm actually working out the sort of the engineering details in my head, like 3 hulls. The first hull with the cockpit engine is in the center. So I'll put the cockpit around here, somewhere just to allow for leg room and pedals.
Right.
Also far enough back, put the engine in the back, and then front axle assembly and rear axle assemblies hang the other 2 either side, just further back. And then, you know, you get the big skinny wheels for running Bonneville on the salt and everything, and they're you get them like this high.
Yeah.
Have the wheels actually coming up through the top and underneath.
Yeah. Oh, again, a beautiful streamlined shape, very long and slim, welded seams. You don't have a lot of drag or something like this. It'd be beautiful.
I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to source some of these now, but...
Sounds like an excellent idea, Dave.
Yeah, and take it to Bonneville.
Yeah.
What the hell, try to kill myself.
I think we tossed around some really good ideas today. We've been able to compare a lot of different tanks, a lot of different designs over the years. And in the end, I hope Dave is able to produce something that has a beautiful shape and a really good, fast car.
I'm gonna have to go out and find somebody who's got them, but there's a lot of them around. There's a lot of them in the States. I can't imagine they're very expensive. And I really like this idea of integrating 3 of them into 1 car. I mean, I think that'll just be fun to do. A lot of different ways I can do that. We'll see. Should be interesting.
Maybe it's time to check out the salt flats and break a new world record. Who knows?
Okay, you want to throw that on the hood?
Okay.
Apparently, the Land Rover's almost finished. It's been taking up space in the shop. It's certainly been taking up staff hours in the shop, and it is, as somebody said at the beginning, way over budget.
I gotta throw it on myself?
No. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't dent it. For months, we've been cleaning it up and fixing all the things that were wrong mechanically. Turns out it was more than just the clutch and brakes. She'll be driving it soon. We'll see how that goes.
So Greg's finished with checking the numbers on the Camaro. It's the day of reckoning.
Okay, so here's the package from the Camaro, so we can go over the numbers.
So this is the plate that was for the warranty. You're not going to fake that. That's
No, customer's name,
from
the
the
VIN
car.
number, everything on that.
The warranty booklet itself, the staples are rusted. So this is from 1969. Another piece that's original. The actual owner's manual.
With a little mold and mildew in there.
But it's pretty well in the same condition as that.
Sure.
So that's pretty cool. Okay, so what did we get from the numbers?
Well, what we have is the number on the front of the block. 1122JJ tells you that that's an L89 aluminum head block with a 4-speed transmission. So that's correct.
I'm more interested in the date stamps.
The date stamp says that it was manufactured in December of 1968, which for this unit, it should have been made in Norriton, Ohio, December of 1968. The numbers we have off the back of the block, 395-5272. It is the right block number.
Wait a minute. You've memorized all of the numbers? You have a paper somewhere that you're reading that
No,
from?
it's once it's in my head, it's there. I have all the numbers.
What's the VIN number?
124379N for Norwood, Ohio, and it should be a 553588 for the sequential.
Well, aren't you special?
I try.
It's very difficult to say whether or not the Camaro is authentic, even at this point, because there's a big gap in its history that we can't say where it was or why it was there. So all the mechanicals are good. What about the body? I mean, that's really the only thing that's left.
It's really hard. It's so perfect. Possibly a restamp body has been used and everything's been transferred. The hood is new.
And the trunk,
The trunk lid.
But other than the body itself, we've got a completely numbers matching car. I mean, everything that makes it a car is there, and it's original to the car, so.
I mean, going by what the numbers are, I mean, it's a beautiful car.
You know, whether it's real or not, it's worth the real deal's money because it's just simply phenomenal.
So that was a long week. Thank God it's Friday.
I know. Where are you going?
The car. What? What?
We're taking the Land Rover home. I'm driving.
No.
Yeah.
No.
We're gonna go off-roading this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
No. We haven't tested it.
David doesn't think it's such a good idea to drive it without testing it around the farm first. And I said, no, I built this to go off-roading.
How did you get a winch like that?
What if I get stuck?
Well, at least the winch is shiny and new. You're serious about this, aren't you?
Yeah, we're gonna go off-roading. I have checked this vehicle over from front to back, underneath. I've had it safetied. It's good to go. Yahoo! Did you say Yahoo?
Oh, Yahoo.
That's what I thought. Go have some fun.
You know, it's wonderful. It looks just like it did. There's no seatbelts.
You're fine. Sit down, hold on, shut up. Woo! That's
Well, I feel good about this.
Do ya?
So at a certain point here, you are absolutely going to end up in the deepest part.
It's taken a while to get the Land Rover on the road, or off the road, as it might be. We have a road near the farm that we use as off-roading. I've only been on it with Dave and driving. I haven't driven myself. What's the plan?
Well, you know, when you see down that trail, there's some pretty deep ruts down there.
Yeah. It's one of those use at your own risk kind of things.
You don't want to drive into those because
No.
you don't know what made them, and it might be something with bigger tires than this has got. And don't look at just there. Look 60 feet beyond to make sure that you can stay on that high center, or if you can't, if you've got somewhere to transition from one side of the trail to the other. It's all about avoiding the ruts on this trail. Okay?
All right.
All right, so
Well,
let's get going.
I'm quite confident. I'm ready to do this road by myself.
Okay, too high, too... Okay, yeah, that's all right. And just leave it in this gear. Yeah, you don't have to gun it. You let it crawl along. You give it a little bit more RPM if you have to.
Should I go in second?
You can do second now, yeah. Give it a few more RPM. You got a hill here.
Oh my gosh. Are we
You're good.
okay?
Yeah, just don't accelerate down. Just let the engine and use a little bit of brake. Don't push the clutch in. unless you have to. And then spend your time steering. You always want to sort of keep the truck level if you can, right? You know, a small puddle like this is generally okay. It's just, yeah, you can just take it. It's not, it's...
Should have been going faster than that.
You know, missed opportunities in life. That's it. See, you're keeping the truck level. Okay, now, this is a creek, so make sure you stay out. Cut it fairly close to that tree. Okay, that's it. No, way too much gas. You're gonna blow the engine.
Oh,
just slow and steady, and you just roll through.
Steady Eddie.
All right. So at a certain point here, you are absolutely gonna end up in the deepest part.
Second gear?
No, I would just crawl through this in first, but keep your revs down. Yeah, you're really gonna be busy on that wheel.
Hold on. Oh yeah, we might be using the winch. This is all I want to do now. I didn't know how much I was going to love it, but I love it. I love off-roading. I think a lot of the driving is instinctual, like you just have to feel it.
Stay over there, she'll skate.
Oh my God, I'm sliding! But there are a few techniques on how to keep the vehicle as level as possible and keep it very smooth. Don't rev it too much, don't rev it too little, just keep it smooth.
Okay, go, go, go.